we've seen some good Marshall plays so far from Meteor. See if Godden can top some of those highlights. Vasova just going to go for a quick scout. It looks like Crazy Raccoon, they don't want to waste any time on this push. They realize that the weaponry is not very good from Onslayers, and they're just going to try to overpower it, get the plant, and get these long-range fights they want. But Godden already good for one connection, the headshot onto Neth. He's still in position to continue. Gives a heal to his teammates as well. Doing both jobs, both as a Slayer and the healer right now for Onslayers.
Still Batsy has this tour de force. He has to put this to good use. Something is going to go their way right now. It looks like there's going to be the Nightfall. Godden with the Vandal now. Gets one, gets two!
Oh, right away. Good for three so far. Puts up the wall as well. He's trying to go for the defuse, but the wall is destroyed before it can even complete. And Rion now just being a pain over on Belt, but can't get enough kills. We got to give props to Godden. I mean, he starts it off with the Marshall. He gives the heals. He puts up the wall. He picks up the Vandal. I mean, he cleans house here on this retake.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what you wanted to see. I mean, I love that the desk was highlighting Godden, and now he's really playing out of his mind. I mean, Tissue buff. I've seen it before where it didn't really pan out, but today, clearly it has been the game changer for Godden. Just doing a phenomenal job here, grabbing that Vandal, holding the line. Eco, he was the best player for Onslayers against EDG on Icebox when they played it. Now here again, having a much better second half so far. So Onslayers taking a timeout. They really want to, dial up something special potentially, or just make sure that they're ready for something weird from Crazy Raccoon. As that was a thrifty round for Onslayers. So, economy's going to be very good for them. They're going to be feeling good. And I'm really curious what Perry wants to do with them.
Yeah, I mean, I love this timeout as well, right? I mean, they're on match point. They've had both timeouts. If this one doesn't work out, you'll have another one to kind of pump the brakes against Crazy Raccoon down the road. It's going to be a long road ahead for Crazy Raccoon if they want to try to get the first win in this best of three. Now, of course, this is only map one, but you got to remember, this was Crazy Raccoon's map pick. After this, we're going to Bind, which Onslayers has traditionally always loved to play.
Yeah, it's a good map for Ons usually, and I would normally be pretty confident about it. But Crazy Raccoon has also looked really good on that map too. So for me, I'm kind of questioning who's actually better on Bind right now. And I mean, I get why Ons picks it. They've seen it played from Crazy Raccoon. They have potentially a decent read on how they want to attack it, but it could go either way. And I mean, again, Rion, that Viper on Bind is absolutely something to behold. Well, that's neither here nor there. And early, May's going to go for his ult. Some damage done to him, but nothing really to write home about there. They're able to back off, but Batsy out of the tube this time. Good for it.
Yeah, quick push out, and he's going to take out Rion, which means now even on the attack, it's even harder for Crazy Raccoon to play without that Viper. No res available for Astel either. Too many points away, and TS gets a quick swing onto Kopagachi. It looks like this might spell the end of Icebox here for Crazy Raccoon here in this best of three in the lower bracket of the East Asia LCQ.
This rubber banding is so good that we're seeing from Onslayers. The way that they're pushing in multiple different angles, waiting for each other to make contact, and then trying to play off of it. Super smart early stuff.
Yeah, and of course, Crazy Raccoon, they didn't have too many choices. I mean, they basically got shut down on the B side. They will have to go for the plant. And Onslayers, while they are aware of this, not taking any chances. I love to see this, right? You're in the lead, you're in match point, you say, we want to close it out here. Let's just go for a 5v3 retake. Just let them get the plant, even waste some of this utility, and then we can just walk in for free. All right, the Rendezvous going to be pushed out just a few steps behind, but it's not going to save him on that second fight, and there's a flash and just a blind kill onto Neth. Astel all alone. No longer. This is going to be the first map victory for Onslayers as they take it 13-5 on Icebox against Crazy Raccoon.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this map came down to me just great play calling from Onslayers, from TS and the whole team. Perry had him well prepared for this. This was them just seeing a lot of the kind of utility in particular early round on their attacker side, knowing where the Viper utility was. I think that gave them a really good idea of how and where they could attack the side of Crazy Raccoon, because it wasn't, for the most part, super intricate, super unusual. Yes, a push out, again, a push out here or there. There was that one round where they pushed Belt, and that was kind of interesting, but other than that, for the most part, pretty stock standard. And Onslayers is good enough that, you can't get away with that, defaulting against them.
Yeah, just trying to play too standard, maybe a little too safe from Crazy Raccoon. So Onslayers will be taking this victory. And I also just want to note, when we talk about KDAs, that oftentimes obviously takes the assist into matter. But this time, even without the assist, every member on Onslayers positive KD. So they were clearly winning all the duels they needed to, even individually. And then on top of that, their utility usage and the read on the opponent's composition, very, very well prepped from Perry and the entire team. team. That was Icebox, the first map in this best of 3. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll hear from the analysts on the desk on what they thought of Icebox, and then we'll prepare for map number 2 on Bind.
Can I be excused? Can I be excused? Can I be excused, please? Hear me out, hear me out. I've been thinking this is better for me. I've been sitting in the same place. Never gonna win the race. Never gonna win the race. So what are you telling me, bruv? I just reloaded the box. What are you on? We're meant to be selling this stuff. I got a hold of the lot. Now you just wanna dip off and take care of yourself. Nah. Oh, you're making it as well. Yeah. Slip on road and take the L. Look. It's not fair to be that way. Why? Yeah, I wanna see us do well, but not make it in a bad way. I've been feeling all the bad states. Mental issues see me lack weight. So I guess I have to dip now. Anybody want my spare play? Here, fam. I heard you had to leave the game. Can you save the play for me? Said you get a job, see me through the month. I got bills to my cheeks. I got issues of my own, but the cycle never sleeps. No, the cycle never ends. Never. You got bills to attend to, but you'd rather sit inside, curl up and high cry when they get shook. Bruv, you wanna get some work? Yeah. I got food you could take. Safe. I got grams, I got eggs. Okay. You want weed, you want flake. You don't need that, fam. It's okay till things get real. What if you use that, lose that? Who's gonna pay your bill? Yo, bun him, fam. Not me. And this is why I wanna leave. Cause you man are making movements I never do. No time to release. No, 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 no. You man are so gas. Yo, who even let this guy in here? Has anybody got a lighter? Why'd you wanna leave, fam? Yo, what does he even bring to the table? Are you kidding? Who let this kid in? You can't kid him. This man blipped to death, he love chilling. Skill set fresh to death, but not driven. Still owe me for the house, bro, son of pay up. And them cookies from the weekend. I got other shit to purchase. Yeah? I'ma need it for the weekend. Before this weekend's, fam. Whoa, whoa. Fam, it's not like that. Nah, but it is like that. Honestly, I'll give it to you like what? Thursday? Calm down. Ask him. He knows I can pay. Can I be excused? Can I be excused? Can I be excused, please? Hear me out, hear me out. I'm unbreakable, all I do is win. The unbreakable. I stand my ground, I'm unshakable.
Enemy remaining. Run.
Galactic, and I'm looking to get more. Raise it up, see but you don't know. Running like a blood pumping from the pressure of adrenaline rush. We crush whatever we touch. Where you been, yo?
Well, On Slayers looking good on Icebox, 13-5. I mean, no major changes to their composition. So what do you think went well?
Just everything looked improved. I mean, honestly, like it looked like they were playing together as a unit. Bazzi was nailing his shots, something that he wasn't really able to do in the first 2 series that he's played out. Goddead went nuclear, the tissue buff very much is real. But this just felt like On Slayers, with their day of rest, was very much able to come back in here, fully focused and prepared for Crazy Raccoon. This was a dismantling. I was really questioning them leaving the Icebox available, given what we have seen happen to them on that map this year. But it seems like they have utilized their time incredibly well. They absolutely got prepped for this.
Yeah, and they were playing some mind games as well with the Viper toxic screen. They were always on attack, at least. They were always putting their toxic screen up on B, even though they were going A. So, they would sometimes go B, they would sometimes go A, but they would put the screen up on B to kind of keep at least 1 to 2 players at B to kind of fool them. And on the other hand, we had the Goddead tissue, obviously, but everybody was landing their shots as usual. But one thing to point out is that Goddead wasn't actually on that spike shuttle, the spike duty, all the time like the previous Icebox that they were playing. Today, yeah, he did plant some spikes, but
Look at that.
Exactly, yeah. Look at this. This is the tissue buff. But anyways, as I was saying, TS was kind of on that spike duty as well as Goddead. So they were kind of splitting it apart, allowing Goddard to kind of push further back to get those clicks on the head. So it worked out very well.
Yeah, I mean, a 13-5, it's just such a concise victory. It felt like maybe for a brief moment in there that Crazy Raccoon was going to start getting the momentum moving in their favor, but they were really only able to string together 2 rounds consecutively that whole way through. Otherwise, it was just these random stray rounds that they pick up in the first half, only get the 2 in the second half, and it just falls out of their hands from there. Everybody barely going, positive on this. It's only May who's able to maintain above a 1.0 KD, whereas everybody from Lawn Slayers, their numbers are just through the roof. So a really fantastic performance. TS, I've questioned sometimes when he goes over to the Viper, but this looked great. You know, like you said, he was constantly playing around with the ambiguity as far as their movements are concerned on the attack by putting those Viper walls up over towards B, and then he was constantly lurking around mid and finding value, garnering information, and getting kills for his team. So big props to him for really leveling up his Viper performance here today.
Yeah, definitely. The lurking definitely helped out the team as a whole and the Viper toxic screen, as you mentioned. But also, I want to mention that, Batsy finally popped off.
Yes.
Right? Like, we've been waiting for him to pop off.
Yeah.
And fortunately, it was a chamber, not like the Yoru, not the Neon. So, we have yet to see his duelist pop off. But at least he got his chamber to pop off today, his landing, his op shot. So, we'll see what happens in map number 2 with whether, if Batsy and Goddard are still going to be the top fraggers for the team, or maybe it's going to swap out a little bit, because we've seen TS on the controller be the best fragger from time to time in the past. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so it was really glad to see Betsy and Goddard kind of coming online on Icebox as well, and the whole team too. I mean, team play and cohesion was something that was criticized about On Slayer since day one, but it looked like they figured that part out fairly well today. I mean, both teams were doing a really good job of, playing around their opponents. Round 5, right?
Yeah, if we could get that replay of round 5, it was kind of both teams did really well. Crazy Raccoon, they noticed the rush was coming to B, so you can tell that all 5 players kind of backed off. They're gonna wait for the plant to go through, and then they were gonna at least try to do a clean 5v5 retake. And you can see on the minimap that all 5 Crazy Raccoon is also setting up, as well as On Slayer backing off for those lineups that they have prepped. And, at the end of this round, we do see On Slayer come out on top with the lineups and the good kind of anti-retake, I would want to say, because, Crazy Raccoon, they came into the site as a 5-man team, but like you see, the staggering peaks, the lineups to stall time was just perfect and so well played by On Slayer's 3-man left at the end of the round.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things highlighted there is just the confidence that they're playing with. Because Estrella, he re-peeks out from behind yellow off the back of a tour de force timing, which you can reload that very quickly, but he swings out, manages to find a kill, instantly dips back into safety, and then counter swings on the opposite side of yellow to go ahead and find a follow-up shot. So the confidence with which On Slayers is playing right now is something that has been lacking from the team overall. I think Estrella and Eco players that we have highlighted have been looking very good so far throughout this tournament, even in their loss versus EDG and whatnot. But this time it feels like everybody on Slayers is very much on the same page, operating at similar levels, and that is a very scary thing for all of the other teams now, because they're showing us a different look compared to their first 2 series. And this is the On Slayers that, bested DRX in stage 1, that took them down and was very much a real threat for competitive competition to try to make it into the grand finals and whatnot. This is them finding their form once more.
Well, I wonder how much of that we could give credit to the Tissue, though, because we got to witness the power of Tissue on Goddard. He was fragging here and there, picking up an ace even, right? So I think part of that was because he was able to be so aggressive without having to, plant the spike all the time. But want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, we could get the replay of round 12 where it was the phenomenal ace by Goddard after the plan, and we do see the replay here. So the plant, the wall, and the wall gets broken down. So this is kind of a risky play, and you can see Eco is doing the plant, and Goddard is covering, right?
Yeah, rather than go for the plant himself, and as typical sages do, he just goes ahead and says, "I will cover you." Swings up, sees exactly where the res is coming through, and the res is really what allows him to get this ace, because Popogachi at the start of this had already been picked off over by B Garage. But, I mean, Goddard, again, is just playing with such confidence. And yes, that round in particular, he is against a bit of a half buy. It's a little bit disjointed because Crazy Raccoon don't have that much funds to really piece together a full purchase. But he is aware of that, and he was playing with just as much confidence in that round versus weaker utility from the enemy team as he was when they did have full Vandals and Operators in their hands and whatnot. He's just really fired up, and it all has to do with a little tissue right there.
Yeah, and you can tell what happens when he doesn't have to plant, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I was talking about with you guys in the backstage. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I don't want Goddad to be the spike shuttle.
Yeah.
And finally, we can see how he performs when he doesn't have to plant and he's actually covering for his teammates.
Well, it was a lot of weight off his shoulder, literally not having to carry the spike all the time. And this good team play and communication kind of, showed throughout the whole series as well. I mean, through this match, I mean, they had a really good read on their opponents round 13 as well. And it's really good to see this kind of improvement on them.
Yeah, I mean, they were just looking unstoppable. You know, they close out, they get that ace, and then you go right back in for the pistol round, and just the clearing of angles here. Onslayer's just having the forethought that, okay, they could be playing back by Snowman. They pick a side, each player, they push in, they clear for each other. It's just great communication coming through. And while Rion, he does get this nice little flank coming out from under tube, gets those couple picks, there's just nothing else that he can do. The spike is already being diffused. There's not enough time for him to be able to swing out. And even if he does, he's got to get through 3 people. It's a quick little play, but I love this. Thank you, production, for actually putting this together. This is Goddad without the tissue versus Goddad with tissue.
Yes.
What a stark contrast.
Well, now we know that Goddad cannot take out that tissue, and this the numbers basically doubled and made some even tripled. And like, guys, this is no joke. Like at first, people would have thought, it's like, oh, what is this guy doing, right? Like, is this really gonna make a difference? And this ritual, for at least for Goddad, is placebo. Like, he's feeling a lot better with that tissue on his right nose.
Yeah, I mean, again, if it works, you can't really knock it. Whatever your ritual is, if it works for you and it lets you play better, then just keep doing it. It's something that we haven't seen from him since, I don't know, near the final weeks, I would say, of Stage 2. I don't think he did it at all during the playoffs. And if he had, maybe he would have gone into Copenhagen. Who knows?
Possibly.
But either way, this is a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek, graphic, since this is only one map. But right now, on Slayers, they look fired up. The tissue's gone.
Oh
no. Maybe it's just for one map, or he's gonna get a new set of tissues.
All right, we're going to map 3.
Oh man.
I'm a little bit scared now.
As am I.
I don't know. Goddad took out the tissue.
I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this one.
I'm scared.
But honestly, I'm gonna be honest. We saw the map end picks, right? So
Yeah.
map 2 is Bind, right? It's a map that Onslayer is very comfortable on. So I think maybe Goddad is like, all right, we don't need the tissue for this map because
It's too easy?
I mean,
maybe. Like, maybe that's their mindset.
Here's my theory though, because I saw him scratching his nose. Maybe he took it out because it was itchy. Now he's gonna pop it back in just before bind starts.
Possibly.
I don't know. But
We'll have to keep our eyes trained on the webcam.
I don't think it's time for Onslayers to be complacent just yet. So what do you expect for bind, and what does Onslayer need to look out for?
I mean, complacency is death in any esport, really. If you underestimate your opponents, if you get way too comfortable during a series, that is how snowballs begin for the opponents. That is how the comebacks happen. They need to still treat every single round going into bind as if it is their last. I mean, because this is their tournament lives that they're fighting for here. They do not want to go to a map 3. They want to close this out 2-0 and get as much rest, as much prep time as humanly possible before they go in. Okay.
Yeah, see?
2-0's back on the table, baby. Here's the tissue.
The tissue is a little thinner. Yeah, I was going to say that. The tissue is a little thinner, so...
Rolled it up a little more finely.
Yeah. He's being a little bit more precise with the sticking of the tissue, but, it's back in there, and, we're not making fun of him, obviously. This is his thing to do, and, he's the only one in Korea that does it, and I want to see how well he does. Like I said, Onslayer is very comfortable on bind. We'll see if... maybe they could bring up a little change, or because honestly, even though we keep saying Onslayer is very comfortable on bind, Crazy Raccoon also is, they're not that bad on bind as well, and they've studied Onslayer's bind over and over again. So we'll see if Onslayers and Crazy Raccoon kind of stir something new up.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if they're going to make any alterations to the composition coming into this. Maybe flipping off of the Astra, going to something like the Brimstone, which obviously we know that the TS is very well versed on. We've seen that from him on Fracture, and he's been putting up an immense amount of kills, potentially as well, if they want to shift Goddad off of the Sky and over onto something like the Rays and have
The
Bazzi
Rays,
then
yeah,
opened up
yeah.
to pick up the chamber. I think there's a couple different compositions that Onslayers could piece together that would all make sense and all potentially work. We just have to see if they're feeling up to making those changes or if they just have the utmost confidence in running the same style.
Yep, we'll see that real soon. But usually what we're used to seeing from both the teams is the two controllers. I think that is a big issue because, well, not issue, but big point to look out for because some of the teams just play one controller.
Okay.
And look at this. I'm telling you, Astel used to play the Brimstone here with the Viper as a two controller, but now they're gonna go with the one controller on Leon as the Viper.
A massive change.
Yeah, same goes for Onslayer as well. They used to play the double controller, and now they're sticking with TS. And Goddard is back on the stage, so we'll see how this is going to work out.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
I'm curious, is this
Wait,
for real or do we run it back?
We're redoing the agent selection.
Okay, that's
yeah,
what I thought.
'cause first
I was
I
gonna
was
say,
like,
I was gonna say
triple
these are just the
Sentinels.
Icebox compositions.
Yeah.
That can't be correct because initially I'm like, all right, you know, the Vipers are coming out. Oh, okay, there's the chamber, but why is Godin still playing the
Yeah.
Sage? Like we
Yeah,
do see
yeah.
people play Sage from time to time on blind.
On
In
blind.
Korean meta, it hasn't really been that common, especially as of late. So that was definitely a really big red flag, and I'm glad to see that it was just a little bit of
Yeah.
a false alarm. So now we have to just wait for them to reset it, and then we'll figure out what they're actually going to be playing.
Yeah, I was looking at the comps, and I was like, all right, so I was trying to make sense of it. Like, you called it out. You're like, oh, it's the Icebox picks. And in my mind, I knew that, and I was like, no, but just in case this is the real picks, I'm gonna try to make sense of it, and I'm glad that we're gonna redo
Yeah.
the agent select.
That was a little bit
Okay.
of a
Woo.
surprise for us, but let's take a look at the agent select once again.
This time for
see
reals.
what they really came up with.
I was about to sweat my.
Yeah. Okay. So let's
Yeah, here we go. So this grayed out pick was right, and then when the actual picks came in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
everything changed. So I was like, wait, scratch my head.
see. Okay, so
But it was-
Strela's
Right,
still on the
so-
Viper.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get the double controller, as I was saying before, because
They're
this
keeping it. They're
it
keeping
gives
it.
them so much control.
Okay, no changes.
Yeah.
So instead of us thinking that they're changing everything on both teams, literally
Nothing
nothing has changed.
changes.
So they are just sticking with their stock standard here.
Yep.
TS, I thought maybe you would go for the Brim just to change up the playstyle a little bit because when you have that Astra, I mean, that's, you know, the tendencies, the star placements and whatnot, your timings on when you're going to be using gravity wells and whatnot, that's something that you want to track
Yeah.
if your team is getting ready to play against you. So Crazy Raccoon likely are going to be, you know, having taken a look at TS's tendencies on that Astra and, you know, looking to pile it around it. So I'm curious to see if they have that ready to go since he is sticking with it and not changing up the pick.
Yeah, and as well, like, you know, on the Astra, you have the ups and downs, right? You can pre-place the stars,
Yeah.
and you can kind of go like right off the bat. But same goes for Brim, right? Brim smoke is simultaneous at the same time, super fast, and the longest smokes in the game. So, you know, both Brim and Astra has the ups and downs, but we'll see how they utilize this when we get into the map because, you know, honestly, I really like Astra because they can also get the stuns, the dazes in, they could get the
Yeah.
gravity wells. It has a little bit more flexibility in terms of the controller agent, so we'll see what happens when we get in.
Yeah, well, let's see what the casters think about this Astra pick and this composition overall. So over to you, casters.
Thank you so much. Great work on the desk. As always, now, of course, we were scratching our heads as well when the initial kind of picks came through. But thankfully, nothing's changed. Both teams going with what's worked for them so far. And they mentioned it on their desk. I mean, the only difference is an Astra versus a Brimstone. Maybe a little bit more aggressive utility available from that Astra.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree that personally I prefer the flexibility of an Astra. But that being said, the Brimstone, his smokes are really, really good. And having that extra molly, really impactful. Sometimes certain teams, you know, really, like we've seen it with EDG, really utilizes that stim to great effect. But yeah, I think in this case, I do slightly favor the Astra a bit. That being said, you know, with the way Crazy Raccoon, especially Rion, played this last time, I mean, his KAST was through the roof. It was over 95%. I mean, he had 3-0 on first kills even. He was just all over the place. Over 200 damage around. His ACS through the roof. So now that there's another Viper across from him, let's see how he fares.
Yeah, and Crazy Raccoon almost getting trapped over in window on B, but thankfully they send out the Trailblazer and they're able to plant Pobagachi back in the back of sight on B. So they're not trapped just yet, able to kind of reset to another default position. Smokes continue to be used on both sides, just one by one to buy time, but not too much time left on the clock here for Onslayer, so they are going to make up their mind here for B. A little bit of a fake coming out with the
30
Prowler
seconds
on A.
left.
It's going to tie up 3 people, even actually drawing over May as the Sky over from B. This was B. This was a perfect fake.
Yeah, all it took was one Prowler, and they completely bid on it, and now there's a flash through the site. You still have Estelle waiting inside of Hookah. Ahant to check for him. He just pushes on it. Going to be able to trade out. Oh, Eco actually got taken out on the site, and oh my god, Ahan's just wrecking through here. Going to get the plant down shortly. Rion trying to do something about it, but Goddead right there, up close and personal. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was very quick, but it all started with that fake, right? Just one Prowler committed. Not much was shown on A prior to that, just a couple of jiggle peeks back and forth from both teams. And because of the timer, Crazy Raccoon says, this has to be A. We spotted them all the way back in Fountain on B. We have the early smoke from Brim. It has to be A. And Onslayer just says, you look so silly right now. They walk right into sight.
Probably the toxic screen coming up as well to really, make you feel like if you're the side of Crazy Raccoon that they are going that way. So some really good mind games from the side of Onslayers that completely befuddle Crazy Raccoon and put them in a really terrible spot where they kind of start coming through one by one on the retakes. Neff has to be covered there. Well, it's actually TS's smoke that kind of comes up there at the end, but he was noted with the flash, of course, hurt as well. So it's kind of a weird little start for the side of both teams. Another smoke kind of popped and left as it looks like Onslayer's really early game here trying to set the stage for some kind of mind games, Chobra. They're looking to...
Yeah, they're just kind of tying them up on both sides every time. Of course, they also have the weapon advantage this time around. They were waiting so patiently, and Crazy Raccoon, they just can't be patient enough. Eventually push out. They're actually trapped over here on the teleporter. Eco only has a ghost, though, doesn't have one of those Spectres. In some ways, maybe that's the better thing because Neth isn't going to be able to upgrade that firepower too much. And Astel and Neth taking lots of damage right outside of Showers here on A main. It's a double cross setup here from the Spectres. They're not even going to need it. Just one by one peeks out, gets 1 kill each. And now only May left. Surely not too much is going to happen here. I mean, if he can do it, it would be nuts, and it'd be a very welcome round here for Crazy Raccoon. But the Trailblazer is going to open things up for Estrella to be able to actually chase him all the way down. And now you're just trapped in Showers. I mean, right here, May, best bet is to try to die to the spike. It is taken down. Just trying to, he's just going to hide in that corner and make sure that he dies to the spike. Of course, Onslayers doesn't want to risk losing their weaponry either.
Yeah, this is not great for the side of Crazy Raccoon, but at the end of the day, May dies to the spike, you got to kill. Not the best. But again, these early mind games from the side of Onslayers is what I'm most keen about here, because there were 2 Astra smokes committed to the B long area for nothing that was pushed off of it. They were like, one of them came up while Neth was taking the orb. The other one just kind of came and went, and right afterwards they slammed through here onto short. Now Neth able to get through there with the shorty to get a kill, but again, to see staggered repeaks from the side of Onslayers, like the desk was talking about, that you're seeing there that are really, really good. So yeah, playing as a team really well together.
Yeah, and then you mentioned it this time, All-Stars committed for a execute. Now Crazy Raccoon, they're going to try to counter this as well with a fast push out of B long. They know for certain this is a hit. They've cleared window, they've cleared B long. The spike will be planted. It should have enough time. Crazy Raccoon, only one member as Rion here over in A heaven. The question is, how good can the retake be? Because Estrella already has that Viper's Pit. I mean, this was planned out all along. Now Showstopper available for Neth. He's been putting up those old orbs over on B. Can he clear the pit for his teammates?
Well, this was just really well set up by the side of Onslayers with the way they've been conditioning things. Neth has the Showstopper up top, just trying to decide which angle he wants to go for. Meanwhile, Botsy with the judge.
Oh, and he's not going to find a connection, so the pit's still up, and they're just in confusion here in the enemy's pit. They will be able to take it down just right on time, but Rion, the last one left. Amidst all that chaos, they took out the pit, but they lost all their members. What did it cost? Pretty much the round right here as Onslayers is about to secure this bonus.
Wow. I mean, this is the first 3 rounds here are so well drawn up by Onslayers. It fakes the first 2 rounds, and this round is completely the opposite. There's all kinds of utility placed on A right away, and you got to be thinking as Crazy Raccoon, were they just doing the same thing? Are they looking to go to A with those Astra Stars, like you pointed out, Chover, at the beginning of the round that came down? And then we can push out. Maybe we can catch them trying to see if they could sneak their way through long B. They're just going right for it. They have the Viper's Pit, and that makes things just so difficult for Crazy Raccoon. So today, Onslayers, we've talked about it before. We're going to say it again because it's important. The way that they prepped for today, given that extra day, has been so crucial for them.
Yeah, just very solid. And now they're back to the default start positions again. 2 over by B main at Garden, 1 over on Showers. And they're just trying to tie up Crazy Raccoon. Now, of course, it is an eco for Crazy Raccoon, so Onslayer is just waiting to see if there's any sort of aggression. And they're going to be correct, but there will be 3 eco. Can he get more than 1 kill? He's going to get 1. He's good for 2. Can he get the 3rd? Right on top. 3 headshots in a row. And eco shuts down the push out of A Showers.
Yeah, line him up, knock him down. That's what you like to see, eco. Doing a great job as this pickup for the Onslayers for this event. You know, he's a guy who's been kind of on a break for a little while, and clearly hasn't missed too much. He is doing a wonderful job. Might be finding the 4th here onto Rion. Oh, Rion got the headshot. I tell you what, Rion plays different when he's on Viper on Bind, man.
Yeah, I mean, his aim just goes way through the roof when he's on that Viper. I mean, clearly some sort of comfort zone here for him. He's even going to be able to get that ult orb, so only 1 point away. Will have that pit eventually in the next round. Now, Crazy Raccoon, it's still going to be very, very difficult for them to try to turn this round around, especially with that still going down. Rion, maybe trying to get a kill. I mean, you know, the economy on Onslayers is quite healthy, so he's not going to be doing too much damage. It's more so if maybe he can even just get out with a rifle up to a certain point. Oh, does get the debuff onto Goddead, but Goddead is feeling it with that tissue buff. I mean, people were talking about it. We've got things like the bald buff. We've even had the COVID buff for Paper Rex. And now we've got the tissue buff here for Goddead.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's tried it before, and now we're finally seeing it come to fruition. So, pretty fun to watch this Onslayer squad today. They are really, really fired up. And I mean, think about this, Chober, that coming into this event, that Onslayers out of the 3 Korean teams was going to be the one making the deepest run. I mean, I don't think. I had some faith that Onslayers could turn it around, but after stage 2. It was, you know, it was a very.
Listen,
I didn't feel like it was very likely. Yeah.
No, I mean the way they played, and then of course they lost a lot of faith in the community as well. And I gotta imagine a lot of the Korean fan base right now a little confused on how they have to feel because the way they're playing, Onslayers looks like they can hold up the hope. And now the Astro Wall comes up. The ult economy rotation from Onslayers is so good. And meanwhile, Batsy flies through with the judge. Doesn't take any chances. Only 1 left in Showers. They've checked it, and that's going to be a quick swing. Eco, he's making us forget about the days of King and Zun, but this is a new Onslayers we're seeing here at the East Asia LCQ.
I mean, how fantastic is this that you lose King and Zunba and still, you know, your fill-ins are doing so well. And that Cosmic Divide landed at the perfect time. Neth's bullets land right at the edge of it. So as it's dropping down, you know, the Cosmic Divide stops bullets, of course. They have the toxic screen up the whole time to kind of cover their approach. The dog sees it right as that screen is coming through as well. That allows Batsy to get in there with the judge, start doing some damage. I mean, this is just so well drawn up from the side of Onslayers, and now Eco's going to have his Nightfall coming into the next round. So this kind of, yeah, like you said, the cycling of ults is so strong right now for Onslayers.
Yeah, and very intentional as well, as we can see from the first couple rounds, right? Just really making sure they continue to pile those points into whoever needs it based on the kills they get throughout each round. I mean, TS, this is one of those games where you feel really happy as an IGL, right? Everything's really coming to perfection. And Crazy Raccoon, this is a round where they have the pit. I mean, that's surely something Onslayers considered. They said, if they do use it, let's just break through it with speed. Thankfully, I guess, for Crazy Raccoon, they don't end up using the pit as the Viper was over on B site. But this has to be a timeout coming up here for Crazy Raccoon. They got to figure out how to stop the bleeding.
Yeah, the comms have to be really strong right now for Onslayers because the way that they're setting each other up for those plays. Like the fact that they got the spot onto Neth with the dog right as the Cosmic Divide was coming down, and immediately Batsy's like, oh, I've got him dead to rights. I've got a blast pack. He's not going to see me coming through that Cosmic Divide with the judge. I'm on it. And just, you know, Goddead relaying that information over to him. He's like, hey, there's a guy behind truck.
He's got his nose stuffed up, and he talks like this. He says, all right, I've got the guiding light out of lamps. He's got that tissue buff going, you know?
This is like something out of like a Three Stooges show or something. Oh, my God.
Hey, whatever works, man. Whatever buff works. Everyone's got a ritual. You know, when I used to cast back in the day, I would always sing through one of the fastest Korean raps possible just to get my tongue twisters out of the way. That was my warm-up. You know, maybe that's my problem these days. I don't do my rap warm-up here.
I don't think you have any problems. What are you talking about?
You know what? Thanks. You know, I was really wanting to hear that. That was
yeah, you were just fishing for a compliment.
I was just testing you.
See, now I regret giving it to you. That was see, I won't give Achilleos the light of day.
I've noticed. Oh, trust me, I've noticed.
I mean, the money's great for Odslayers now. Everything just going their way. It is a sort of eco for the side of Crazy Raccoon. They're able to scrape together a Spectre and a couple Vandals. They do have the Viper's Pit as well here for Rion. Dog to check up front. This time not going to get the information. Who cares? Botsy just goes right back in his showers and TS follows up.
I mean, the job well done, right? He really just draws away that crosser, and you can't turn back in time away from that stun, and it's going to be another execute on to site, only losing TS. The rest of the members of Onslayers healthy with rifles. Now the Nightfall also available if they want to make sure they secure this round. Napta's going to get one right around the corner before the Nightfall comes through. So he does dwindle the numbers just a bit. May continue to keep Crazy Raccoon ahead in numbers. May still picking up that Vandal. Has it in hand. 3v2. For Crazy Raccoon, they know the location of Eco, but they couldn't hear it because of that Nightfall debuff. Nico's going to sneak around triple.
Ooh.
Not good for another. And Crazy Raccoon, whatever you talked about in the timeout, it worked as you're going to stick this defuse and finally get a win on the board.
That's a huge round for them to win. Economy was starting to get really, really shaky, and now they're able to gain a little bit of extra padding on the backside of that. I love the start here from the side of Onslayers. This maneuver by Batsy looks like it's a dive in. It's actually just a way to get into showers to draw some attention for TS. He's able to get a kill off of it. So not a bad little setup from the side of Onslayers, but a better response from Crazy Raccoon. Nep just ready right around the corner. You know, Eco having some great rounds once again, but the push through by Crazy Raccoon, they're ready for the flank angles from Batsy, stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely. Again, off of these timeouts, Crazy Raccoon has been pretty good, but then things start to quickly go off the rails, at least on Icebox.
Yeah, I mean, we've noticed that Onslayers, they don't need a timeout to readjust to whatever Crazy Raccoon has done. So Onslayers, this time they didn't have the star set up initially, and they're just going to strike right away onto A. Now they do draw the Nightfall, and that means it's only going to be Botsy that goes in with the showstopper, and he actually gets a kill. No matter what happens, they've actually drawn out one of the ultimates. Eco making sure he covers the flank from the teleporter. Onslayers continue to stay ahead in numbers. Now the spike plant is stopped by Popugachi, and now they know the location of the spike. Rion here for support from A Heaven. You're aware of Eco in showers, and that's such a crucial kill from Popugachi.
Man, Popugachi has been really important in this round, but Estrella with a click double to get 3 on the round. Oh boy, that one was real back and forth. I thought for a moment there Popugachi was going to get the ace. He was really feeling it. I mean, he had a good kill on the Batsy after Batsy flew in, went back behind the smoke screens. There was the reveal from the tether, so he was able to kind of keep track of where he was, able to follow up on that decay damage from the Nightfall. Really, really good round for Popugachi, but it's just not enough for Crazy Raccoon.
Yeah, I mean, he tried his darndest, right? Because right here, Batsy gets the kill. He's already drawn out the Nightfall. Job well done. But Popugachi goes through just a little bit of that heal coming in, and that's enough for Estrella to stay alive, get that triple to secure the round. And, I mean, Onslayers, we heard a little bit of a sigh of relief from them in that round. They also felt the pressure, but still way ahead, 6-1 here on attack. And it's a little bit of a speedy play here on B Long. They haven't pushed this aggressively into B Long pretty much this entire map. Wow, May. Okay, stop me in my tracks.
Woof. That's just a quick little two-tap there. And Estelle holding with the sheriff. Popugachi with a frenzy. Gets another kill. I mean, Goddead's there to trade it, but jeez, this crossfire setup is giving them a lot of kills. And also that early push out. I mean, this is pretty interesting that Onslayers here just kind of leaving the front angle unchecked and then getting absorbed. Oh no.
Yeah, well,
they have no idea.
Yeah, they have no idea the pit was used. Now they know because the secret's coming through. But here's the thing, 2 Vandals, 3 Vandals now on the side of Crazy Raccoon and the pit to secure showers. This A site is still very ready to be retaken even if the spike gets planted. Onslayers, they have to clear one of these angles. They're going to take the teleporter. They're not taking any chances. But Astel still in sight. Into with a Vandal. The pit comes up, the plant's going down. He's gonna swing on it right at the end, and he will get the plant and destroys the pit. Onslayers, I don't think you're getting out of this round for free unless Goddead can do. Nope. Okay. Yep. I will not get ahead of myself, and that says that's enough of this round. Gets a second round here in the first half.
I mean, this is just Crazy Raccoon dialing up something quite a bit different. You know, yeah, they absorbed the early hit through long B, something we haven't really seen. And off the back of that, they're pushing out a hookah right away with May, and he's getting that free kill on it.
Well,
TS,
that was how Achilles felt when Damakiel was
yes,
playing.
that is pretty close to what we saw there. And then they're kind of scrambling the rest of this round. So Onslayers kind of loses track of the possibilities in that last situation where they throw up a Viper's Pit, but they don't check the tube. And they pay the price. So, you know, kind of so far for today, an uncharacteristic round from Onslayers where we haven't seen them be as diligent as we're used to seeing.
Well, I like that you mentioned that because that's what we were talking about earlier. They haven't had to use the timeouts to readjust, but perhaps this time in the first half we might see Coach Perry calling for a timeout, maybe even just to give a little bit of breathing room. Onslayers, for the first time in this best of 3, starting to show a little bit of a crack under pressure. So now they decide to slow things down, going back to their default. 2 stars on B, just trying to fish for information. Crazy Raccoon take that time to get the ult orb over on B long.
Yeah, I'll be curious if maybe this is the round where they kind of go back to those fakes, where they start sending some utility one direction, going the other, since they've really slowed it down. They're looking for the push-outs, you know, that were effective for Crazy Raccoon in the previous round. They have to be aware of it. They have to respect it this round. So they're taking their time watching for it. It's going to be a Prowler. Not a Puka to check. Neff going to send in his little buddy to check the showers. They're gonna. I don't think it's gonna spot anybody. I don't even think it has to be shot down.
Yeah,
Now,
I
here
think
we
it
go.
just bounces around. So complete silence, radio silence here coming in from Onslayer. So Crazy Raccoon, they're just holding, but that does mean there's only 2 members here on A. Now, Rion is taking a far back angle, and Neth actually just gonna try to clear with the showstopper. He actually gets 1 kill, but is he aware of a second? Meanwhile, Onslayer has pushed through left. Neth is good for 2. He dominates the shower control right on his own. And even if the spike gets planted, I mean, this is going to be a quick retake. Only 12 seconds left on the clock. The snake bite just drawing out time. Estrella doing what he can to take control, but they can't get this spike down. Can they? He's going to start it right at the 5-second mark. He can't. He can't stick it. It's too dangerous. He's just trying to stay alive. And the round will go in favor of Crazy Raccoon. Can they get another kill here? Topagachi just trying to fish for him, but he's not going to connect.
Oh, this is just great patience from the side of Crazy Raccoon. Nobody's biting on anything. You know, they don't really suspect a fake necessarily, but they're not sure. So everybody just kind of stands pat, waits this all out. Neth has the showstopper, avoids the Prowler right in there. And then Batsy whiffs initially because Neth is still moving, and Neth able to turn and get him. Really nicely handled there by Neth inside a shower. So, okay, now it's been a little bit of a turnaround for Crazy Raccoon, so I think there's a very wise timeout from Onslayers. Things are starting to look a little bit sloppy in terms of their reactions and their thinking, and it's getting crisper from Crazy Raccoon. You saw the utility dump to keep that spike from going down as well from Crazy Raccoon, so now they're starting to pick up steam, both individually and mentally.
Yes, absolutely. Just being aware of their win conditions, we could say, right? Not really overextending. And I just want to highlight Neth. We've talked about how he's kind of become the poster child for Crazy Raccoon, so to speak, right? Been with the team for a long time and has really carried them when they needed it most over in VCT Japan. Now, last time they were playing against, in fact, Hamwon Kia here in Bind, that was another time when he started to pop off. Even if his overall KDA isn't the highest, he's getting these incredible swings, incredible double kills to thin out the numbers of their opponents. Onslayer's coming off of a timeout here, something we haven't seen them need to do to try to keep the lead here in this best of 3.
I wouldn't mind seeing a fast hit, but that being said, from the side of Onslayers, it looks like Crazy Raccoon is ready for it. If it does come through on A, they're set up for it. They might try a fast push out of their own. Let's see if it's going to happen. Batsy's going to go in pretty deep. Gravity well up front. Doesn't even need it. He's just better.
Yeah, he just gets the first go. Now they are trapped in showers for now. Just trying to check out with the Trailblazer, but he's still channeling Assel here for the trade. They're aware of Eco, a third one, just trying to spam through the wall. You can't quite connect through that one, but Eco just comes off of that hit. Eco clears out showers on his own. His teammates come through from A short to make sure the site is clear. Rion goes down, and Eco, what are you doing, my man?
That's disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting.
He
has no business winning that fight. Just none. Crazy Raccoon does so many good things here except kill Eco. Everything else is so good. They read this perfectly. They know it's a fast hit. Even though Batsy's good off the rip, there's a great response from the crunch from both sides, and I don't know.
Look at him jiggling while he's been kind of blinded there, right, from the Prowler. He's just constantly swinging left and right, staying alive. I mean, this was one of those rounds where Crazy Raccoon, they got all the right answers on the exam, and they forgot to turn it in.
Yeah.
They just couldn't close it out.
That's a good way to put it, because that was so well thought out, so well predicted. Now Batsy only going to be one away from his ult. And that showstopper. Eco has a Night Fallen. Speaking of.
It's just a quick one right on to A. Onslayers. They realize that they've really broken the opponents right now. It's going to be an orbital command. It looks like to try to clear showers as they exit here. But they're waiting as the spike wasn't quite planted just yet. So the orbital command goes down, but it's not going. Oh, it does actually connect right at the end there. Just a little bit of a visual difference. Of course, we saw it on the minimap. It was keeping him locked in. So now only Eco left, but we've seen what he can do here in showers.
Surely he can't do it again, right?
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't count him on just out. Okay, Rion is going to be the one that shuts him down, and it's down to TS over in Lamps. He has been tagged. slowly recovering that health, but it's not going to be good enough. Rion will get another kill. 3 on the board for Rion here on the 11th round as Crazy Raccoon puts up a 4th win on the board.
I wanted to talk about it, didn't get to because the round was so fast coming out of the timeout that right now there is a pretty big Viper dip between Rion and Estrella. Estrella is having a much better half so far. Now Rion picks up 3 big kills in that round, kind of riding the ship. I think he was 2-7, something like that, going into the half there, or going into the timeout, excuse me. And so that was something I was really keen about because both players played super well on their respective role in the previous outing on Bind for both of these teams. Estrella, right now, having a much better half compared to what Rion's was. I mean, Rion was absolutely disgusting in their game against Damwon Kia. So I think this is kind of interesting in a way because with Rion, it's so hard to play Viper against other Vipers in some ways, right? Because like all this utility is crisscrossing. Like when it's just you and there's not another Viper, you don't have as much to worry about. You're like, I have complete control of the situation. Like,
right.
I am the one who dictates the pace of everything. It's a lot different when your opponent is running a Viper and in double controller even with the Astra as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that sometimes where you kind of wait for the opponent's toxic screen to come up first, and then you cut up another angle so they don't have the advantage, whether it's on attack or defense. So right now, Estrella definitely topping the boards with good reason, but the one who's been taking up the spotlight is Eco, right? Just some of these kills where he has no business winning them. He has no business winning the round, and he's able to keep OnSlayers in the lead. On the other side, Crazy Raccoon, they've got Neth trying to do the same thing when he's jumping around on these retakes, trying to get double kills and just keeping the team alive. Currently behind 4-7 in the first half on Bind.
Yeah, I mean, this has been really good for the side of OnSlayers. Crazy Raccoon, though, is starting to make much better decisions. They're starting to get more creative with how they're attacking OnSlayers. Coming out of that timeout, they had a really good read on what OnSlayers wanted to do themselves coming out of it with the pace change. Even though they were, very ready for it, the execution wasn't just there, and that's been a problem for them at times today, too, is they're not as clean as OnSlayers. OnSlayers is definitely feeling it a bit more, but I think a big part of that is just the snowball of them making better decisions overall, just putting themselves in better positions to win fights, hitting better timings. I think back to Icebox, like on the second pistol round, right? The timing they had to come through that toxic screen, like that really set the pace for me that OnSlayers, like the desk talked about as well, that their confidence much higher today.
Yeah, I mean, that one-day break, whatever they did, it's working. Now, of course, we have to remind you, both these teams facing elimination right now here in the East Asia LCQ. Crazy Raccoon, they lose this map. They're out. They're out of the running. We have 3 Japanese teams still alive right now, but after this game, we could be down to 2. And then, of course, we're going to watch Reject in the next match trying to stay alive as well. Northeption will be the last match played today over in the upper bracket against EDG. So for the Japanese fans of Valorant, I mean, they have to be watching all day long, and they're hoping for all 3 teams to stay alive here.
Yeah, fingernails are going to be destroyed at the end of this, just biting them. I mean, it's going to be a nail biter. And so I think for this one, Crazy Raccoon so far today has been pretty flat, but things are starting to turn around. So let's see if they can keep their season alive, keep their hopes alive. And I think the next one between Reject and K1 is going to be absolutely amazing. I think it's going to be a 2-1 series. I think it's going to be really close maps the whole way through. I think those teams are really well evenly balanced in terms of their power levels right now, at least from what we've seen so far, especially when you compare them to how they play against EDG recently.
Right.
I'm really excited about that matchup. So, I mean, Reject in particular has played really, really well so far. Like,
They've impressed.
I was worried about Intro. Sometimes I'm not sure what to expect out of him.
There is reason to be worried about Intro at times, right? I mean, as great as he can be, I was talking with Ending before the show started, and we were just joking about how when he's on, he's the MVP no matter what, no matter who he's playing against. But when he's off, he's not quite on the scoreboard. So that's something that we'll have to keep an eye out, but it looks like we've cleared out the issues here. Currently, the focus on Crazy Raccoon and OnSlayers. Crazy Raccoon only 1 map away from being eliminated, and their run in 2022 ending here in the VCT. Of course, OnSlayers, they'd love to get this 2-0 victory, get a little bit more time to prep for their next match tomorrow, whoever their opponent might be, as we wait for all 3 matches to happen today. Last round of the first half, Crazy Raccoon still defending, OnSlayers on attack.
I saw some pings, some warding pings come out at short A from the side of Crazy Raccoon, so they don't have a lot of attention or pressure being put there right now. There is going to be some info given towards Fountain as well as there was a ping. I think some kind of information, probably the Hawk came through or the lack of a Hawk, maybe, but depending on how things panned out. Batsy, of course, did get his ult as he was 1 away in the previous round. So setting up for what looks like a fast and furious, coordinated hit for the side of OnSlayers if my eyes don't deceive me.
Yeah, they're just going to use that pit right off the Trailblazer to just try to keep B locked down. Now the Showstopper comes through. Can he get a connection? He's trying to find any information. He tries to get it through, and Rion eventually goes down. TS swings right off of that Showstopper. In fact, good synergy between Batsy and TS, and they break open the site. Only 2 members were on it. They're now gone. A 3v5 tough retake here for Crazy Raccoon.
Yeah, Strela just watching the elbow there. Has to move through his teammate Smoke to get his safe escape.
Ooh.
Now the Cosmic Divide, this is such a tough retake. Now all you have is the door, really. That elbow position is going to be really tough to come through.
Yeah, just trying to clear out the different angles here from Neth with that operator. Given that the Cosmic Divide has locked up elbow, but the time is ticking. The utility's starting to come through. They have to swing out on Astel. Finds a good timing, gets the kill on Debazi, but they need to keep pushing. There's not much time left on the clock, and Goddead will be able to finish it off before it even gets down to the wire. An 8-4 lead for Onslayers as they finish a good first half on attack on Bind.
Yeah, this is just so smart from Onslayers. They knew there was going to be a Viper's Pit somewhere, and I think they were actually wanting it to be at B. I think they were hoping that that would be the case, because then they could get Batsy in there with his ult, try to do something about it. Okay, he whiffs, so what? TS is quick to push right off the back of it, gets the kills, they're flashing each other. Even though Batsy dies right around the corner at the door, immediately there's a flash in response from Onslayers to make things more difficult for Crazy Raccoon on that retake. Everything about that, so well done, so well coordinated for Onslayers. Yes, a better half for Crazy Raccoon than what we saw in Icebox, but not much.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned that, right? Because a lot of teams, they get really scared of the Viper's Pit. We've noticed it time and again, for a good reason. Obviously, it's a very tough ultimate to break through. And we've seen multiple different answers to it. We've seen the Yoru ultimate, right, trying to just ping the Viper out. We've seen the Owl drones. We've seen the Fade utility. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But this time, Onslayers, they say, okay, even if we don't spot the Viper, we're going to make sure that we create enough of a distraction that TS can swing on it. It works out to perfection. So Onslayers still just one step ahead from Crazy Raccoon. Now, on the side switch, what can Crazy Raccoon do here to try to catch up? I mean, 4-8 is still doable.
Yeah, it is. It's just going to have to be a creative, smart half. They're going to have to, frankly, get better play calling. They're going to have to be a little bit more elastic. They're going to have to be moving around the map a bit more. I don't think they're going to be able to necessarily get this done through just brute force attacks or anything like that. I mean, they were really predictable on their attacker side on Icebox. They just kind of lined it up and didn't really change directions or pace too often. So, I mean, for me, this is going to be really curious for Crazy Raccoon. Like, how deep are they going to be able to dig into the mental banks to get something done? Because Onslayers right now is very well coordinated. I mean, think about that Viper's Pit as well. That with the way that Batsy gets in there, he knows that they can only be, that the Viper can only be in one spot, and that's in Garden.
Yeah, just finding out good information now. Crazy Raccoon, they're aware of this fast push out from Onslayers, but can Pobagachi get the kills he needs? He's trying to dodge a flash. He gets one. He's not able to clean out the second one, but Babasi eventually goes down to those paint shells, and that's already 3 members down off of an aggressive push out of B from Onslayers. They take a chance, and they pay for it. He's going to clear one out as well. I also wanted to note, as the round started, this time they kind of funneled their funds for Neth, right? He picks up the blast pack and the half armor, and then someone buys him a frenzy so he can really enter if he needed to, but it looks like he's not even going to need all that.
Yeah, they really got the read on this. I mean, Onslayers is perfectly ready for this push out. You can see all 4 dead members of Onslayers are right by the fountain, right outside of the market there. So there was no confusion from Crazy Raccoon on how to read this pistol round. And so far, kind of one of the... I don't mind what Onslayers did here at all. I mean, I think this is kind of an interesting tone to set at the beginning of this, a pace change as well, but now is fooled, so they've got a free plant, and Estrella has a classic and snake fight, and a lot of work to do.
A lot of work to do. I mean, you pretty much have to tag everyone with the snake fight at once, and then just tap them once each with your classic to try to finish off this round. I also love that Crazy Raccoon, they're not really taking any chances, right? You saw how cautious they were. I mean, you got to especially consider Astel and Neth both having half armor. They'd love to carry that over into the next round. You want to snowball whatever advantage you can. They're all grouped up in Garden. They know that there's not much this Viper can do on their own. Rather than spreading out for info, you just say, I mean, worst case, let's just trade on the defuse, right? Let's just not be worried about anything else. Don't give these easy 1v1 duels. Estrella, oh,
lining
that
up.
was Very dangerous. Estrella, I thought he was going to get some sort of collab there. He does get 2. So after all that cautiousness, Crazy Raccoon not going to get the finish they want, but they do get the victory on the board.
That was scary. The one thing I was a little bit worried about with the way that they were set up was maybe like a snake bite gets in there and catches 2 and gets them vulnerable, and then you know that Estrella is able to get 2 quick kills off the back of that vulnerability, something like that, but they kind of line up for him there, and that's also very scary. And okay, at the end of the day, Crazy Raccoon's still early good round read translates into a pistol round win. Weren't able to do it on the first side of the coin on this map, so now Batsy with the Marshall doesn't connect his first shot.
Yeah, not going to get that through. Just threads it right between 2 members of Crazy Raccoon. Now, Crazy Raccoon, they were aware that it could be another aggressive push as well, so both sides using a lot of utility right now just to keep each other at bay. Bazi's still not connecting either. This is very uncharacteristic of him. He's one of those members that's so good with the Marshall, but he gets it through the toxic screen. I mean, this Marshall fires so fast, he's just tagging him as he gets shown by the Haunt. Everyone from Crazy Raccoon falling as they try to enter the site. The spike has been marooned. The Vandal dropped from May. This is disastrous on their second buy round. Rion trying to keep whatever hope alive. I mean, at this point, you almost have to consider that more so than the Vandal.
Come on.
Yeah, take the Vandal. Listen, I think at this point, the Vandal is more valuable than the spike.
Yep.
I mean, you're in a 1v3 and you get tagged again by Batsy.
He can't,
I mean,
can't
the
play
class,
this.
No, he can't. The class, okay, he gets 1 kill, but he doesn't have a way out. Rion wants to play to win, but he's not going to get it. And TS, he runs forward. Wants to get that Vandal, a free rifle, as Onslayers awaits to go into their buy round.
I mean, Crazy Raccoon was finally able to win a pistol round, and then they follow up getting taken out. And it's these Marshalls, you know, from our Korean players who are just absolutely cracked with this gun, get some help from his teammate with the Haunt. You know, Eco doing a great job there, catching a perfect timing for it. And it just lights Crazy Raccoon up like a Christmas tree. And as a Marshall player, you're just sitting there just licking your lips. It's just absolutely just so happy to see that come through. So, again, it's the coordination from Onslayers. You know, yes, the early start from Batsy with the Marshall, not, you know, he doesn't hit his shot. That's okay, because his teammates are there to back him up, to set him up for future success.
Well, Onslayers are going to be happy about all the weaponry they can have this time. Of course, it was supposed to be their buy round, and TS has enough money banked up, perhaps for an operator for one of his teammates in the later rounds. Now, we do have Rion, who snuck into Lamps. This is a very traditional Viper setup we've seen starting the end of last year. He gets a headshot right through the edge of the box. Now, he is pinched, so he will eventually get taken out. Eco should be able to hold this off. Crazy Raccoon thinks better of it. They thought they had an opening. It's not the gap they wanted, so they rotate back. Guiding Light doesn't tag anyone over from B long. God dead. Trying to swing around, but he's cautious. Doesn't catch vision just yet either. And TS just staying far back. Says, give up the site. It's fine. We have the better weaponry. Let's just not get taken apart 1 by 1 and give over free rifle upgrades.
Yeah, he had a good gravity well in there to get a little bit of extra damage to May on the way in. He just kind of let it and spray it through the smoke, seeing if he can find any value. A flash to check the near corner, not going to find anything. Still Estelle lurking behind the next line of defense. Oh my God, there's 3 in here. They're going to blast back him. Oh.
All right, Bazi is going to get it from the cross, actually, over from Link, and then Goddead finally able to swing through. He will get taken down with so little health, but this should be a quick, easy finish. Should consider just being able to go through the wall. I was wondering why Eco was hesitating for so long for a second there. A little too scared to go for that kill, but eventually he gets the triple, even going to get his Nightfall ready as we prepare for round 16.
I mean, it's a good eco round for the side of Crazy Raccoon, getting the early pick onto the jumping Estrella. I mean, the way that he timed that shot was so great. He knew Estrella was going to jump again. Just shot him right through there with the Sheriff. Now, there was an immediate response from Onslayers. I like the way that TS played the early part of the site execute for Crazy Raccoon. He gravity welled. He just kind of sprayed into it. Did get some damage. But then there's that 3-man push into Hookah that isn't fully accounted for by Onslayers. There's no information that it had happened, and that causes kind of some weird push-outs inside of there where Goddead, his Hawk doesn't go super deep on the first one. So he's like, okay, maybe there's just one. And then they immediately reinforce that position. They're able to pick up a couple extra kills because May is able to hide around that corner is unnoted initially. So it's a lot of kind of trickery from the side of Crazy Raccoon in that round that does pay off. And starting to see a deeper playbook now for them.
Yep, and TS just trying to creep into his own smoke, but Neth immediately counters it with his own boom bot. So TS says, all right, let's just back up. The raise is at least on B. Of course, the only duelist here for Crazy Raccoon, so a little bit of extra information. Now, early on in the round, OnSlayers did check outside of showers with the Haunt, so they're not too concerned about it, just leaving Eco where he does best, over on A showers, just to hold that on his own. Passing the minute mark on the clock, Crazy Raccoon, they've made up their mind. It looks like it's going to be an A hit. They do have Seekers ready. We'll see if that's how they open up this site.
Yeah, there was just a Hawk over at Long B. Didn't get any information. Now with all this utility coming, for sure, the rotations coming through for the OnSlayers. Crazy Raccoon avoiding the counter Nightfall there. They're just going to hold pat and can't really find any space to maneuver. I mean, Estrella with that poison orb
30 seconds
really
left.
causing a lot of delay on the back of a lot of other utility.
Yeah, now the fuel has been ended, so we're going to have a bit of an opening here for Crazy Raccoon, but they don't have much time. They have to be able to get this plant down safely. If they get delayed any further, this could spell trouble. May just trying to make sure that they can get the trades they want, but they're down to 13 seconds. Still haven't started the second plant. Meanwhile, Estrella gets 2 over in Lamps, and they're going to try to stop the plant. May has to stick it right now with only 5 seconds left. He knows he's pressured, and OnSlayers, what a good pinch onto the site from backside and Lamps.
Yeah, this is so good. The early part of this round as well to delay once they kind of read where the hit is going to be. You know, there's Seekers, there's a Nightfall, there's a ton of utility committed to this from both sides. But, you know, everybody's just delaying, right? It's everything is about choking up the short 8 point here for the side of OnSlayers. That's all they care about. They know that with the time remaining on the clock, that's about the only option Crazy Raccoon has. So throw everything in the kitchen sink and at it. You can see that Nightfall came through even. That forced Crazy Raccoon to step back and wait even longer. I mean, everything about that round, so well thought out, so well calculated. Of course, like you mentioned at the end, they just wait for the moment until they start trying to plant, and Crazy Raccoon is stuck in a real bad spot then.
Yeah, and of course we've seen that kind of poison cloud tech as well over by Lamps, right, where it can go through that wall over into Lamps. But Estrella actually uses that perfectly against Crazy Raccoon, just hangs back and has a better angle as they try to clear it. They never got full control, so basically the only control they had was trucks. And OnSlayers are able to wait patiently. Estrella gets 2 kills. Now 11 points on the board for OnSlayers. They want this match point. TS, okay, he's going to trade for 1. Now he does give over a rifle with this push out, so GodDead, he's gonna just run away just to stay alive. He's trying to clear out B long and get as far away from the action as possible until his teammates are able to provide backup.
Yeah, I like GodDead being safe here, not trying to go for like some kind of flash repeat. There is a Viper's Pit for Crazy Raccoon, and they've got a Judge in there along with 2 Stingers, so you know Estrella is able to pick off May. Still, I think a lot of potential here for Crazy Raccoon to sneak this round out from underneath the noses of OnSlayers.
Yeah, they're going to have some perfect communication from OnSlayers to clear out this pit. Now, Crazy Raccoon, they also have to watch out for a lot of these spam shots coming in, right? The wall bangs, the smoke spam through the pit. Rion feeling the pressure, wants to make sure he doesn't give any room. The showstopper once again from Batsy. He's going to get 1. It's going to be net. The pit is still up, but they actually, again, off of the showstopper, off that distraction, everyone from OnSlayers enters the pit.
Yeah, well, I thought maybe this time Crazy Raccoon could get it done, but they do try to keep a player on the outside of the pit, maybe to see if they can avoid or stop the showstopper, but it's almost identical to that first half, the way they play that. It's just everybody waits for the blast packs and the showstopper, and then it's all hands on deck for the side of OnSlayers, collapsing together and clearing it together, and snap your fingers, and the round's over. So there you go, Crazy Raccoon, this is it.
Yeah.
Last time out, potentially, of the year for them.
Yeah, of 2022. The last time out of Crazy Raccoon. This is where they become not crazy anymore.
Yeah, this is where they become sane raccoon.
Yeah, the normal raccoons, right? This is where they go from raccoons into red pandas, and then they're like the cutest things ever.
Yeah, they're so adorable.
Yeah, but then they also get scared, which is probably why they're losing. I mean, listen, they're losing that confidence battle. You mentioned it earlier,
Yes.
and we touched upon it here in the LCQ several times of, at the end of the day, Valorant is a very momentum-based game, right? You have to be in the minds of your opponents. You have to pressure them where they don't have time to recuperate. Crazy Raccoon, this is their last chance. The timeout, this does give them that minute timer to just go through what's been going wrong. However, a long way ahead 7 rounds to try to get to overtime. Then you need to win. Then you need to go to map 3 on Ascent if you want to stay alive here in the East Asia LCQ.
This will be rather difficult. And Estrella is still continuing to put up a huge performance again on Bind for Onslayers. I mean, this guy absolutely monstrous both times on this map for them so far here. And I mean, that's a huge diff. I mean, Rion has been a real rock for Crazy Raccoon, but right now he is completely red. There's nothing he can get done. And I mean, it's, again, stuff like saving the showstoppers for his ults. You know, just taking him down. He has no opportunity to kind of utilize his utility to become a real problem for the side of Onslayers. So Tomogachi still has a Nightfall. That's the only ult in the bank. Estrella, though, of course, popped his. Goddead sitting on the Seekers for probably, I would suspect, for some kind of retake hold here. Let's see how much Onslayers can delay this.
Yeah, I mean, they still had one more star available as well, the Gravity Well, just to buy time during this Toxin being used up from the attackers. TS, he's got to actually creep through as he hears the footsteps. Oh, he actually backs off right through the teleporter. That actually saves Crazy Raccoon. They're bacon for now, but Eco, this time in Lamps, wherever it's close quarters, he's going to shine. Keeps control. The spike cannot be planted just yet. Batsy did spot Asto earlier, so just trying to get some spam through the boxes. May swings off of that just to clear the site. Spike eventually will be planted. Now, Estrella was on B protecting his pit, so it's going to be some time before he can come over. Goddead rushes that just a bit. Feels that there's not enough time waiting for his teammates to join from B.
Yeah, Estelle turned that flash very nicely there, and Goddead tried to pop flash for himself. Not going to happen this time. TS going to give a quick tap of the spike, and that's going to bait out the orbital strike. And TS!
Oh! The power of the Phantom as he swings around, gets 2 headshots with the running spray. And Estrella's going to come in finally from B. Neth alive, trying to keep Crazy Raccoon alive for 2022, but it's going to be over. Eco gets the last kill as the newest member joining this roster here for the East Asia LCQ. 13-5 victory on Bind. Onslayers get a 2-0 victory in the best of 3. They stay alive for yet another chance to go to Champions in Istanbul. This is farewell to the Crazy Raccoons.
Yeah, it's sad to say goodbye to any team, and especially Crazy Raccoon. You know, going back to 2021, they're at every major Valorant event, every Masters, every Champions, but this year they're not qualifying for any of them. Sad to see, but still, up until this game, I thought they were playing great this tournament. I really had high hopes for them in this match, but they were burnt out, and Onslayers just making way better reads top to bottom. I loved what TS did in this round, by the way. This little one and done he did, he snuck himself up to the side of the teleporter on the back of his own smoke. He had just enough room to see. It's almost like setting up for like a rendezvous. Yes. Right? Or like a chamber rendezvous where he's there, he's like, I'm just going to pop, I'm just going to shoot, and then I'm leaving. I don't even care if I hit somebody or not. You know, it's a one and done position, so that's a cute little maneuver there, even though he doesn't get the kill. All that interesting little tech coming into play for Onslayers.
I mean, he's just trying to buy time, right? If he gets a kill, great, it's a cherry on top, but if not, he's able to stay alive. He comes back, he ends up getting that double kill with the Phantom, and that really secures that last round for Onslayers. So I like the way you said it. It never feels good to have to send any team home, especially when it's their last chance of the year to be able to continue a kind of their repertoire and career here in 2022. But as valiant as it was, that's going to be the ending of Crazy Raccoon here in the East Asia LCQ and VCT 22. There are still 2 Japanese teams left, of course, and we have to hear what the Des thought about this matchup, this best of 3 between these 2 great teams. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll go over to the analyst desk, and then we still got 2 more matches here in the East Asia LCQ.
The truth is both healing and deadly. Truth can reveal, truth can kill. What truth to you is real? Let me know. Many lames tried to box me in. Got them stuck with the lemon face every time I win. Loony buffoons in my presence can't pretend that they don't want me under the earth, smothered in dirt. Mothers in black crying in church. Big body things I can't fit up in your hearse. Oh, you mad little nigga, cause I finally know my worth. Started daily affirmations, learn to put God first. Demons move better when you you upgrade yourself, well, I'm a still soldier in the army of the Lord. Living by the pen, but not afraid to die by my sword. I talk heavy cause I walk heavy. With the Holy Spirit, this divine connection got me feeling fearless. I'm wise enough to know not to move reckless. Always remain humble, cause even the most favorite man by God could yet and still suddenly lose it all. Don't get high up on your horse, you just might stumble and fall. No life insurance or a will, now your family holding dead weight. Meetings with your lawyers and ain't nothing in the briefcase. Mom's yelling to the Lord, help us for peeps sake. Ego on 10, but you softer than a cheesecake. Lip service is what you get when it's time to get down. That's why real triple OGs never want you around. It's either put in work, little homie, or it's time to kiss ground. Blow, it's just trying to find out who I really is, and if I'm gon' make it out in showbiz. Just trying to find out who I really is, and if I'm gon' make it out in showbiz. These for all them dark days when I had them dark thoughts. I felt so cast away from my God's heart. Like time when he lost Wilson, I was engulfed by my emotions. Like Titanic in the deep, I was jacked up in the ocean. Drifted away from my purpose on purpose. The Lord's plans for me, I just wouldn't conceive. Couldn't believe out of 7 billion souls that walked the earth, I was the one anointed to defend God's word. You should've killed the beef, now you're out here sprawled out. Homicide got you lined up, body chalked out. Revenge killings on how they bled the black out. I wanna unite my people from their masters like right now.
All I do is win. The unbreakable. I stand my ground, I'm unshakable. Catching fades anymore. Gotta keep my hands clean when they come for the ball. Keep it smooth like a dawn, making moves in the dark. Cause I learned how to swim in the pool full of sharks. Now they coaches, cause they can't read all his motions. How the kid never switched codes, but he codes with focus. Staring down your team with a frozen ice cold look back in the summer solstice. Cause I'm more like the top dog. Keep on running game and the game will accost y'all. I be calling plays from a plane while I'm off court. But we ain't the same, you a lame, I'm a mob star.
One enemy remaining.
Stat sheet, but I call plays for the athletes. When the cop cars try to catch me.
Well, the tissue buff was for real. Now on Slayers take bind as well. 2-0 for on Slayers. They survived the day. As for Crazy Raccoon, they're eliminated because, you know, they didn't have a tissue buff.
No, they didn't. Goddead, he got it done. He decided to just go ahead, stick the tissue back in. We were a little bit worried before we went in the blind. Like I said, maybe this goes to 3, but upon the reinsertion of the tissue, the faith was restored. They managed to get it done. And I mean, double 13 5s for On-Slayers. This was just very clean, very methodical from them.
You know what? I actually like this. It feels comfortable.
See?
There's something comforting about this tissue.
I mean, Goddead, he just got it all figured out. This is going to become the new meta. He said it, like, instead of everybody
meta.
being like, oh my God, Chamber's broken, this is what's broken. We're going to see every pro around the world with tissues shoved in their noses.
Yeah, what we're gonna, you know, we can't see chat right now, but it's gonna check tissue.
They're
Right? You know,
probably very
usually it's
confused.
like check mouse, check PC, right?
Check tissue.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's gonna be the new thing
Check
when
in tissue.
Yeah,
Like
when
tissue
God
for
that has
timeout.
that tissue buff, that is the thing to check.
All
So let's look
right.
at the stats. Like Achilles mentioned, we had the double 13 5s, right? So look at the score line. This time around, Australia picks up the pace in the kills, and you know, honestly, in a 13-5 game, getting 20 kills is a lot. Basically, he was just hogging all the kills. And even when he was getting that 2.8 KDA, look at Goddead. He still has 2.3 following Australia right behind the kill score. So, you know, very well played overall for On-Slayers.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I think Estrella, you know, taking a look at how Rion played on
Yeah.
Bind, you know, himself, where he had that pop-off performance on Viper, and he was just really able to emulate that and help shut him down. So much value found for this guy. He has been a great addition. We've already been bigging him up, even in their loss versus EDG.
Yep.
Now he comes out here and puts up some significant numbers to help On-Slayers get this 2-0.
Yeah, and you know, the funny thing is, you know, both of these teams had the double controller, right? And I think overall, it might be a little bit of hindsight, but because On-Slayer won, right? Like, On-Slayer was able to play that mind game a little bit better compared to what Crazy Raccoon was doing. But I could kind of understand on the side of Crazy Raccoon because they were always on the back foot. So, you know, they didn't have the luxury of trying different mind games because they had to play it really safe to kind of at least try to catch up a couple rounds in the first half to make it a little closer. But, at the end of the day, OnSlayer did come out with a lot of the fakes.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the mind games because I think it's very bold of OnSlayers to try those mind games right off the bat in round 1, right? And Crazy Raccoon kind of fell for that.
Oh yeah, I mean, OnSlayers was very much able to profit from this fake, and we'll get the replay up here in just a moment, so if you missed it, it's something very simple. The Viper wall's just set up over at A, and you see Eco just throwing this Prowler. He pushes forward, he gives some sound of footsteps, and that's enough for Crazy Raccoon to make the call to send May back across through the spawn and join them at A. They're gonna counter check with the Prowler, but by the time that goes out, they've already realized that, oh, it's been a fake, we've been undone. And Estelle, unfortunately, just cannot get a kill. Eco does get picked back over right outside the teleporter as Neth comes across, but the spike is getting planted and the kills just start pouring through as GodDead gets the aggressive push.
Yeah, basically by the time that May rotation on the sky happens, that's already the round is done because we had 4 of OnSlayers basically waiting outside of the door of B. So when that happens and they get the call, it's already done, right? And Asta, like you said, in hookah, basically gets caught by the haunt, so he's not going to live out there. So that round was very simple and easily finished by OnSlayers.
Well, mind plays and fake plays were the only thing OnSlayers did well on Bind. I mean, round 10, insane plays by OnSlayers, and eventually Eco clutching it out.
Yeah, definitely. Let's take a look at this replay. It's insane. It's super fast. Double blast pack by Batsy, gets a kill, gets traded, but Eco gets stuck in the bat. But look at the mini-map. We have the other Raze double blast pack Nest gets a kill, but look at the Eco. He's gonna get Prowler, he's gonna get Molly.
Yeah.
Like, he's dead. They're both, look at this. Molly's right on top of him, he walks back. Like, it's not even a trade kill that's coming through. He's doing a 180 for a triple kill. So, like, Eco was just popping off. This was basically his own little highlight reel for himself. Like, because we had double blast packs from both Razes coming back and forth. That's already chaotic for the people that's stuck in bat.
And it just goes to show you, like, Crazy Raccoon, they had good ideas in this map. They, they know that forward push from Bazzi is going to be coming. They look to counter it by sending Neth out. And the plan is perfect. It's just the execution falls flat, and Eco just goes God mode. He doesn't die. He's dodging bullets like he's Neo out here, and then he just manages to nail his shots and get those kills through. It's unfortunate. I love the idea and the concept from Crazy Raccoon. It just looks a little bit silly in hindsight because Eco just somehow wins.
Well, yeah, in the second half, though, I kind of felt like Crazy Raccoon might make a comeback after OnSlayers dropping that pistol round. But, OnSlayers, they managed to really turn it around, especially with the Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, Bazzi is one of those players very much like Media that when he does have that Marshall in his hands, you can't really count him out. He's shown that he is incredibly proficient on it time and time again. This was the perfect opportunity for him to be able to pop off. He goes for the blind shot. The Haunt comes in, reveals 2. It's an easy lineup onto Estelle. Then puts a little bit of damage down. May weakened. The paint shell's coming through. He's just going to end up getting picked by Eco at the very end of this. And from there, Rion, he does manage to come up with a couple of extra kills, but eventually gets flushed out of that position. And this was just such a massive turning point because this is Crazy Raccoon needing to get the run back going. They need to start this snowball with the pistol round win. They get that done. But then as they go into their anti-eco round, Bazzi with a Marshall just completely shuts it down. The economy gets completely flipped on its head, and they're never really able to find stability from there on out, resulting in that 13-5.
Yeah, so, coming through, the kill coming through from the toxic screen, the blind shot, it starts off the engine, but the Haunt, I got to give credit because that Haunt gave Batsy a more leaning point to get those wall shots with the Marshall, and he lands a lot of the shots to get a lot of them to have health, to get it started, and then the Raze nade comes through into Garden, kind of allowing Eco to do that long-range shorty kill that you rarely see. But, basically, it was Bazzi and the Haunt that did the job for that round.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to see Betsy making impact on the Bind as well. Let's see who the MVP of this map was. GodDead again.
Oh, okay. GodDead. I mean, he played a very supportive role this time around. Obviously, we saw him go Battle Sage over on Icebox. trading off roles as far as, who was going to be planting the spike round over round, but was always providing covering fire, and that kind of translated over here to his Sky as well. But more often than not, he's sitting back, he's offering up those flashes so that the Rays, the Fade, etc. can get forward and find some nice picks. And he can show it's just a very big shift in play style, but he still manages to pilot this incredibly well.
Yeah, and it's good to see Goddard here as the MVP, even though if you look at his numbers, yeah, they're pretty high, but if you remember on that stats score, Estrella was at the top of the scoreboard with the most kills, but him not being here and Goddard being here, I like it because, like you were mentioning, Achilleos, that he was doing that supportive role, and he was contributing a lot to the rounds won for Onslayers here.
Yeah, it's just a great performance, and it's good to see Goddard being able to finally back up his words, because he talked some big talk coming into this tournament. EDG kind of shut him up right off the rip.
Yep.
But especially in this series, and even glimpses of it during their match versus Maru, Goddard was very much at the forefront of the success for Onslayers.
Well, I guess the question is, will he use the tissue once again? Moving forward.
He damn well better if they want to go to Istanbul, I'll tell you that much, because if he decides to, I don't need the tissue anymore, they could just end up flopping here. I'm fully convinced the tissue is God.
Well, and the person is the dead?
Yeah. And combined, they are God dead.
All right. Well, for me personally, I don't want him to overuse it.
That's true.
Like, when you have like an item or a trinket, like you don't want to overuse it. You want to use it.
Well, you sap it of its power.
Exactly.
Because
well, like today I understand, because if you lose, you're going home, right?
Going
so like
well,
today
that's every
was
day now.
Yeah. Well, that is true. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But I want to see him kind of save it up. Maybe if they lose map 1 the next day, and then break it out on map 2, maybe.
I tell you what they should do at the Onslayers headquarters is they should put it in some tissue in a pane of glass. It's just like in case of emergency.
Oh yeah.
Break this. And then you just get the tissue and you shove it in your nose. Like if you lose map 1, but. I don't know. I'm fine with it either way. Maybe there is some superstition to he'll drain the power of it, but I think that if he truly just feels comfortable, which seems to be the case, then just keep doing it. And I see no reason why you would ever stop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So-
don't stop Onslayers. Well, Onslayers survived today. We're gonna have to break, but when we come back, it'll be Reject versus K1. See you in a little bit.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on a roll, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, man, we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on a roll, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on a roll, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on a roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on a roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
Closer than I've ever been. Trying ways to let you in, but I'm scared to fall in love again. Scared to fall in love again.
Well, after losing to EDG, Reject are about to go up against another Chinese team, K1. And for K1, after being defeated by Northception, they'll have to go fight another Japanese team to make it to the next round. Ironic much?
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep going up against these same regions. It's what happens when the Korean teams kind of bomb out of the LCQ bracket. There's not too many choices left. Of course, OnSlayer is just staying alive in the lower bracket after defeating Crazy Raccoon. But I got to say, I think the focus here for K1 going up against Reject is Reject came in swinging here into the LCQ bracket. I think they still put up a good fight against EDG. Meanwhile, K1, they had a really rough start, and then they said, okay, we got the kind of nerves out of the way, we found our groove, and I gotta expect that K1's gonna look even stronger today going up against Reject.
Exactly, you know, K1 going up against Diamond Gaming Kia, it was a very close series all in all, even though it ended in a 2-0. Both the scores were 13-10, 13-10, both maps previously when they went up. So, you know, like Chober said, K1, they did find their footing, but let's hope that you know, they could beat out Reject because Reject previously played EDG. So they know how it tastes to go up against a strong, you know, strong force of a Chinese team. So, you know, we'll see what happens when Reject goes up against the second place Chinese team, K1.
Well, I actually think Reject, seeing how they played against the EDG, they have a really good shot at this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, we talked about it, of course, on the desk as well yesterday when they were just putting up some really good ideas. And for them to really be willing to experiment like this with 2 new players, right, in a new bracket against teams from other regions, it's not an easy challenge to take on. And it wasn't perfect, but they were willing to continue. They didn't shy off from it. They didn't get scared. So I got to expect they're bringing something new today as well against K1.
All right, then what can we expect from K1 today?
Well, K1, I think first of all, we're probably going to see another Haven. I gotta imagine if it's left open. They seem they seem to really love this map, and I think for good reason. It's a map where even if the opponents do push fast, you can take your time to have more setups. It's still got 3 sites, both on defense and attack. You have the leisure to use the map to full potential, and that's where K1 shines. It's when you give them those first 20, 30 seconds of a round, they start to set up their own little trap plays. They start to kind of fish for their own mind games, and then you got somebody like Ninebody going in, just getting 1 kill. That's enough. Sword9 and Lil King follow through, and then the site's been opened up.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, in terms of the map, like to continue from what Chober was saying, Reject, you know, they prepared a lot to go up against EDG on Fracture, even though it was a, you know, 13-3. Like, they were showing some good new style of strategy brought up. So I'm curious if Reject want to kind of redeem themselves against K1 on Fracture, or are they going to just ban it out and just never look at that map again for this tournament, you know?
I mean, listen, I think that's a little bit risky, right, to try to show your hand again against K1 when you haven't had too much time. But looking at this roster, I think day 2, some of us were a little confused on, okay, EDG seems strong, but K1 maybe not. And then they found their footing. And a lot of that comes from Sword9 really leading the team, both as an IGL and as that really strong second line, both of entry and defense, when they're trying to either break into a site or go for a retake. And it's off the back of people like Ninebody and then Lil King going for these flanks. I think they've got a really good combination of players to have a versatile style. But so far, I think just within the Chinese tournaments, they've been so pressured by EDG that maybe they don't even really know yet exactly what their color's supposed to be.
Exactly. You know, Sword9, like you were saying, he's always on the initiator role, right? Like supporting Ninebody. And sometimes when we see the positioning of Ninebody on the jet, like, you know, I heard at least the Korean caster say, like, how many lives does he have? Like, how is he positioning himself that way? It's because Sword9 and, you know, on the initiator with the flashes is supporting Ninebody to get those insane positioning, to get all that information, even though he is the 4th place on the win contribution and the ACS is not that high. But the information that he brings to the team is definitely one of the big contributions for his team's winning.
Yeah, I also want to just point out that all of their power rankings, like within this tournament, are kind of on the low end for now. That's because they got 13-1 on their very first map of the tournament. We got to keep that in mind, because the last time they played against Diamond Kia, they looked very strong. Sure, it wasn't a stomp, but they looked strong enough to combat the star power that Diamond Kia has. So K1 is no pushover in this tournament, and I think when you're a team like Reject, you have to consider what are the curveballs we can throw against a team that likes to play with their time, that likes to play with every single round across the entire map.
Well, let's take a look at Reject's roster and see what they can do against K1.
All right, well, Reject as well. You know, we talk about Reject a lot over and over. You know, many different styles, like, right, intro coming in, and, you know, Chober and I, we were talking about how, you know, sometimes he does miss his flashes a little bit for Medusa to go in. We've said that a lot. Yeah, it's being repetitive, but also
I just want to be very clear. You said that.
All
I just
right.
asked you what you
And you
thought.
agreed.
Yeah. Well, I nodded my head maybe. Yeah. You know.
But anyways, yeah. So enough of intro, but I want to touch upon like Anthem, right? His chamber is insane, and we were very curious as to how he's gonna kind of pull his weight when he was going up against Kong Kong, and not bad. He's not the Opera, right? He's the Vandal chamber. He's the Headhunter chamber. So not bad. We'll see how he does today. But Takije is the real deal because we were talking about how he was switching places from a duelist to a controller, playing the Astra, but also getting those frags.
Yeah, I mean, he's really getting back into form here in the LCQ bracket. And I also want to point out Medusa, again, I mean, with these charts, it's more about kind of what role they each play on the team. Medusa's often playing that duelist, often playing that entry role, and I think that's going to be so crucial in today's matchup against K1. We've seen what EDG can do against K1, and we've seen what Northception could do against K1. It all had to do with speed and perfection when you're entering into the site. A lot of that support coming in, and then the entry, the duelist player goes in, gets 1-2 kills. K1 suddenly in shambles. Medusa's going to have to carry that torch today.
Exactly. So I'm curious to see if they're going to still keep up that pace that they had when they were going up against EDG, because K1 is definitely they're from the same region, but they're definitely not at the pace of EDG in terms of round speed when it starts. Like EDG tongue twister rushes like crazy. When they pick a site, they rush. And we were commending Reject yesterday, the last time when they went up against EDG, because they forced EDG to actually rotate away from the choice of their spike site twice. So if they're able to do this against K1, I think Reject have a very high chance of winning the series.
Yeah, I think you just have to keep up the pressure, right? And then force K1 to start to kind of doubt their own style, or maybe not even ever find their comfort zone. Because if they don't get that first couple rounds of comfort, of patience, then K1 seems to really panic. And then you've got Ninebody maybe going forward a little bit too much on his own. They start to make those individual mistakes. And that's what Reject can take advantage of here in this match.
So we'll see if Ninebody will actually get the support that he needs to get those, as I was saying before, get those information for his teammates, get those the first bloods actually as an entry player. So, that's very important, because many of the other entry players that we've seen, especially the two knocked out Korean teams, right? They were lacking in those first bloods. Yeah, they were opening up a lot of space for their teams, but as an entry player, if you could get that first blood, that's definitely a big +1 to that point. So, we'll see if Ninebody will be able to do that to kind of shut down Reject.
Well, Ninebody would need Sword 9 to be on his A game as well, right?
Yep.
Let's compare Intro and Sword 9 and talk about what they need to do in this matchup.
Well, I think this is going to be crucial. You mentioned it, and we talked about when we were looking at the roster. Sword 9 is the power behind Ninebody. Ninebody's got the aim, but Sword 9 sets it up. Meanwhile, Intro, he kind of shines when he plays on his own, but I think going up against a team like K1 today, he really needs to work with Medusa, right? As the two Korean players here on the Japanese roster, they got to find that the K synergy here within the Japanese team to try to combat the Chinese team K1.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very, happy that these two players are highlighted here, right? Like you were saying, Sword 9 is a supporter for Ninebody. Intro should be the supporter of Medusa, not supporting himself with the right-click flashes on the KO. Like, yeah, the right-click flashes out of the smoke as the KO is insane, but
that's what he's good at, though. Like, even when
all
he used
about
to,
the flashes.
Yeah, and even when
it's all about
he
the
does throw a lot of flashes, good or bad. But even when he used to play Viper back when he was in Korea, he would kind of make his own trap plays without really communicating with the team, and that was kind of the curveball that he added to the roster. I just gotta say, against a team like K1, I don't know how far that gets you.
Yeah, and as you can see in the highlights, you see Intro just literally just playing by himself, doing really well, making the highlights. Same goes for Sword 9, but this was just a very few instances when he's just literally just solo carrying, clicking heads, but most of the time it's Sword 9 that's a little bit more of a team player as an initiator compared to the other side, Intro, right? Like where Intro would literally, like I said, flash for himself, flash to get himself kills. That's why when he's doing well, when he's on his A game, he's the one at the top of the frag list. Whereas Sword 9, he's up there, but usually he's not number one. He's not the match MVP because he's always doing his team plays. He's always flashing for his teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you mentioned is very crucial. Those highlights, it shows that Sword9 can do that if needed, right?
Yeah.
He can clutch, he can get those multi-kills if his teammates are gone, but he doesn't do it first. He waits until it's the absolute last line of defense. Intro usually goes forward first and tries to get the kills, and if he doesn't, then the team's now missing a ton of flashes and a ton of utility.
Right. Well, hopefully today, Intro and Medusa can find that K synergy Trobra is talking about. We're going to take a look at the predictions. A lot of us are expecting it to be a long game, right? All the way to third map.
Yeah, I would say so. I think this is going to be a 2-1. Now, I just want to be very clear. My prediction for Reject is not based on the case synergy. I just think they're really feeling it coming into this tournament. And I also think that they've shown that they can play fast. And I think that is a very, very strong advantage they have against the style of K1. They can keep up the pressure. It doesn't have to be Medusa. Taka J could get some really good lurks, some really good multi-kills. And Anthem on that chamber as well.
Definitely. And, you know, my pick on Reject is actually behind the fact that they got to play, like I said before, EDG ahead of time. And they got the feel of how, what kind of Valorant that these Chinese teams play when it's super fast-paced. And I was talking about how EDG is like fast-forward version, like ×2 of PRX. Like they would always come in like half second faster than how, you know, PRX would play, because they're a very fast-paced team as well. So Reject has gotten used to the slow pace because that's how they're used to playing in the Japanese scene. But now they got a little bit of a taste of a super fast forwarding team. So now they just have to adjust and get used to the both styles and kind of adjust and adopt it into their own play style.
Yeah, it's like eating spicy food, right?
Yeah.
You get a taste and then you start to build that tolerance, and now you're like, oh, this doesn't feel that fast anymore. And then you realize you're going 100 miles per hour in a 30 miles per hour zone. Probably not a good thing to do. But that's what Reject is aiming for here in this double elimination bracket. And if they can keep that up, even playing back-to-back days, it's going to be a good day for a lot of Japanese fans.
Well, we have a spicy matchup waiting ahead, but we're actually going to take a break. But don't go anywhere, because when we come back, these two are going head-to-head.
Your troubles and pour me a glass of them bubbles. Show stop and makes you move. You only live once before you turn to dust. I'm feeling fabulous. We're going some bubbles. Pour me some. Pour me some. Pour me some. Forget your troubles. Pour me some. Pour me some. Yeah, pour me some. Pour me some bubbles. Pour me some. Pour me some. Pour me some. Forget your troubles. Pour me some. Pour me some. Yeah, pour me some. And do it on the double, baby. Give me them bubbles, yeah. Sipping on them bubbles. Sipping on them bubbles. Sipping on them bubbles, yeah. Sipping on them bubbles. Sipping on them bubbles. Sipping on them bubbles, yeah. Forget all your troubles. Forget all your troubles. Forget all your troubles. Just one more glass. Pour me some bubbles. Pour me some. Pour me some.
Welcome back. It's K1 versus Reject. I mean, both teams really need to win this if they want to continue here in the LCQ. And I think map vetoes would be an interesting thing to talk about. So, Chobra, I want to ask you, if you were Reject, would you be banning Haven just because, you know, Reject really like to play?
Ooh, I think that Haven, I mean, we've seen one map of K1 on Haven where they absolutely got dismantled. And I think maybe you could look at that and say, okay, Northeption showed us how to beat them on Haven. But then when they came back, you saw a very different K1 stylistically. I think that just comes down to a matter of if Reject has those fast set plays, you know, practice to perfection, sure, maybe you leave it open. But I don't think you ever pick it because clearly there's something to be said about comfort zones. So I think maybe you kind of leave it up maybe to the second ban, see how things pan out. Meanwhile, I think you're more focused on what do we want to pick because you really want to get that first set win and get one on the board. That way, worst case, you go to map 3.
Exactly, and you know, another map that usually comes out as a quote-unquote safe pick is Ascent, right? And this is like globally kind of promised map where it's like, all right, if we don't have anything to play, we'll just play Ascent, right? And then like that map actually used to be back in the day Split, right? Like we would see Split as the last map that comes out when we're done with the bans and the picks, and the leftover map is Split. All right, we'll play it. It's a very small map. It's one of the oldest maps in Valorant. So you know, now, so I'm curious if, regardless of Haven, right? Like with Reject going up against EDG on Fracture and you know the other maps as well. So like Reject has gotten used to those fast-paced games, and they've actually been practicing those fast-paced games, like Chober mentioned. So is K1 going to kind of leave Fracture open on purpose to kind of bait Reject into playing or picking Fracture? Or is Reject going to actually just pick Fracture and just try to perfect, like you said, what they practiced for EDG and just do it a little bit more to K1?
Yeah, I mean, there's an element of a deep mind game here for map drafts, right? At any international tournament. Sometimes, what is going on here?
Nobody.
Catching up with the meta.
Although that tissue almost looks like paper, and that sounds like it would hurt. But whatever. I mean, listen, if you think it works for you, great. But if you're not used to it, I feel like that's gonna hurt when you're playing some Valorant. But maybe watch Goddad, and he's like, you know what? He's right. Goddad's really figured it out, and I'm gonna need that buff. Now, of course, we'll see how far that trend goes worldwide. But coming back to the map draft. I want to say, I think Reject, you're not in the position to play too many levels of the mind game here, right? I think you need to focus on what's been working for you because, again, they do have 2 new players. They're playing very well, and they're working well with the team, but you can't ignore the fact that you haven't had as much practice time as K1 has had.
Exactly. That's why I just threw out, you know, whether they're going to play the Fracture, possibly the Breeze, but like honestly, for me, if they do go the safe route, like you said, they're gonna probably want to ban out the Fracture and the Breeze as well. Like go with the smaller maps, go with the maps, the original maps like Ascent, possibly even Bind and Haven. So we'll see what happens in the ban picks right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ascent split. Things like that, the original map.
The traditional
maps.
maps.
The traditional maps.
Something a little safer. K1 just not dealing with it. I gotta wonder if it's partly because they're scared of what they saw. I mean, they have been banning it so far here in the LCQ anyway. Same thing with Reject. They've been banning out that Breeze.
All right, well, we do see a map select from K1 to be Ascent for that map number 1. And like I said, I'm pretty sure Ascent is definitely a map where nobody in this LCQ tournament at least is afraid to play. So it's not really a favorable map only to K1, but it could also go the other way to Reject.
I also like that they banned Bind. That one I think is a nod over to Reject and how they played against EDG, because this is not a common ban for K1 here. They haven't banned it yet themselves here in the LCQ in their 2 matches. So clearly giving a little bit of respect. Now, I like what you said about Ascent. I want to add on to that in that Ascent is not a map where you can always push fast. Sure, 1 or 2 rounds you can throw a curveball, but you're not going to be able to keep that up for 13 rounds in a row. So I think K1 also banking on the fact that it's a bit safer. Reject tried to dig deep and go up against the split where K1, they didn't get that win against Northeption in their first match.
We talked about curveballs. Are we going to see a Phoenix?
Listen, when is that Phoenix coming through, by the way?
I know, I've been talking about it.
Thankfully, TS is still in this tournament, so maybe we'll see it tomorrow. We'll have to wait. I don't think we're going to see it here in Ascent. Now, it is a map where we have seen Phoenixes before, even over in the NALCQ here in LCQs, but looks like they're going to stick with what they like. I think something to keep note here would be the big difference in smokes, right? Luo King going for a bit more of his own mind games and maybe a little bit more of a defensive setup with that Astra. Take trying to provide a bit more for their entry as they don't have a duelist on the side of Reject.
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind that on day 2 when K1 played Ascent, I remember I was pointing out how Luo King, even though he didn't get that much frag, he was lurking mid like crazy on attack, right? Like all his teammates were going A main or B main, and we would see Luo King in the defender spawn, and I was like, wait, what? How did this happen? And that's the Astra lurking for you when you fake smoke, do the short smoke, kind of. You're able to kind of get past those traps unnoticed, and that's how Luo King was able to kind of create that chaos for the defenders when he was lurking all the way to the defensive spawn. So, I want to see some of those Luo King lurks today again.
All right, well, I'm excited to get Ascent started, so I'm going to toss it over to you, Caster.
Thank you very much. I have changed positions, just like Chobo.
I haven't.
Traded spots, but yes, you very much stay the same.
I'm old and my knees don't work so good.
That's true. It's a good thing that this chair rolls, so we can always move it back over.
I
to
just have like a
stage.
zip line that I just pull myself around in while I wait.
Drag yourself back, a little lifeline to the desk. But it's time to go back into the action here as we get ready for yet another elimination match. This time on the chopping block, either one of our Japanese squads or our one of 2 Chinese squads. We only have 2 left from either region. One of them's got to go. We'll see which one it's going to be, whether it's Reject or K1. But you have to be fearful of K1 if you Reject because of 9body. He's got the tissue buff going on. He's believing in it. He's buying into this snake oil that GodDead is selling. And he's trusting the process, much like I do as well.
Yeah. I saw you guys, decided to opt for the tissue buff on the analyst desk.
I felt like I gave such better analysis
yes.
after I had the tissue.
Oh,
in my
and
nose.
it's like just having that there just made me focus on it so much more. I was so much more attentive to it. I think this is pretty interesting because this is the first time we're seeing Reject play Ascent with this new, with bringing Intro and Anthem in. So it is quite different than what we've seen from Reject before. Previously, it was Medusa on the Jet. Yeah, you did have a Chamber, but it was somebody else. It was Takajay playing it, I think. Or no, not Takajay, the previous player. But, they didn't play with a KO. So there's no duelist here for the side of Reject. And that's really intriguing. Like, you have a lot of utility. It's not the triple initiator that maybe some of the teams were running at the last Masters and that kind of thing. So I'm a little worried on their attacker side how well this is going to go. So for me, I'm really keen on this defensive side for Reject, and these Sage walls have to be well timed to keep 9body at bay.
Medusa going to be backing away. Intro with a flash at the ready as all 5 members of K1 get ready to assault. But oh man, the interrupt on the tailwind, beautifully timed by Medusa to force them back. Here are the footsteps retreating. You just see Takajay Shifting over back onto short, getting ready maybe for the swing, and oh boy, he notices, looking, not watching, it's an easy takeaway. Picks up the first blood, backs out, doesn't even have a scratch on him.
I mean, this is exactly what I wanted to see. A perfect wall timing. They've got TakaJ in position to punish the rotation here. He knows there's more people coming, already spraying through, gets a little bit of damage, still able to escape himself. This is perfect play from Reject, and another blind shot to the head to Yosemite.
Oh, and Medusa, though, knowing that the wall was going to expire, was put out in a bad position. K1 Doom actually managed to trade up as far as the kills are concerned at the end of it all. Plant now coming down. Reta looking to approach from heaven. Wrap around from Anthem just now arriving over towards a main turret. Not going to be doing anything, obviously, as the killjoy's already dealt with. And just safely walk past. Hunt goes out, not going to find anything whatsoever. Shots flying. Instantly, everyone turns their sights to the chamber. He falls down. What started off as very nice pistol round beginning. Could unfurl here, but I was going to say the decay is there. Maybe he can finish him off, but will be Sword9 and Knight standing at the end of it all as K1 go ahead and take the pistol round.
Ah, Reta had such a good opportunity there with that seize. I mean, the decay on that is so fast and so devastating. All he had to do was land a couple bullets and he could have taken this down. Again, the early round is phenomenal from Reject, and yes, you get the backstab there from Medusa, but this push through short then crunches it. You know, TakaJ isn't able to hold in the long run, and that offers the counter angle. Nine Body's like, yeah, okay, I'm done with this. Like, let's get back down to business. And great ideas from Reject, but K1 still executing just a little bit better when it mattered most. And now a fast execute here onto B. It's looking like, yep. Oh.
Okay. A little bit of a delayed adjust there for Anthem. Dash forward does come in. Door getting shut will be destroyed. Breaking down. Cool King now just sitting up here. Market steps. Ready to try to shut down the push so that anyone come through that nebula. You can see Reject just very much taking their time with this one, as they do wait for Medusa to swing out through mid. Double check that there's nobody hanging back in B lobby. He'll go for the market approach as well. There's the push into the back of the door. Destruction. Lil King finding one. TakaJ answers for it, but now Nine Body up close and personal with the Spectre. Mows down two. Medusa arriving. We'll find one. It's just two members left standing now. The nebula expires, and Yosemite is quick to the punch.
Yeah, the reactions here from K1 really good, playing off of each other nicely. TakaJ gonna get Yosemite, but Knight quick to trade with the Frenzy. Again, it's the reactions in the team play here for K1, even though Luo kind of goes out on his own there, a bit in the market, gets traded out initially. That drops a Spectre over to the side of Reject, so, but the timings here, they know exactly when the smoke is gonna dissipate. They're right and ready for it. And yeah, okay, so yeah, TakaJ gets into the switch area, able to pick up a couple himself, grab a Spectre, and has a really nice round, a really good start for TakaJ. But at the end of the day, K1 with just enough of advantage early on in the round to catapult themselves into a second round win. And now you can see that Nine Body's even going to go for the Vandal, Knight and Yosemite as well. So a heavy investment into this round for both teams.
Yeah. Could end up costing them dearly as Nine Body drops. There's one of those guns will be swapped out. Sword9 taking it into his own hands. I'm just going to get healed up by Medusa. Crowley checks over towards Pizza. Not going to find much of anything, though. Jiggle. Ow. TakaJ gets his head taken off. That's painful. Answering fragment from intro, just trying to keep them at bay, make sure they can't advance too far forward in the tree. And okay, yeah. Didn't even realize it. Lockdown's available. Yosemite just going to pop that here in the third round.
There's no response. They know the fragment had already come out. Now Anthem just pushes into it, gets a kill on Yosemite.
They do get it detained, though. Anthem's stuck. The push forward coming in, and there's the finisher. Sword9 able to get him. Medusa not quite in position to be able to shut him down. Had he been able to do that, would have straight to the spike. Drops down, clearing the Prowler. But here's the backstab now. Medusa arrives. Catches one. Intro eliminated.
One enemy remaining.
Now it all comes down to Reyna. He's been spotted. Lowdown's there. An upgraded weapon for the side of Lil King. Again, close. Not going to be clean by any metric. They lose out on 3 members once more, but crucially, it is the third round victory.